India is building a dam on a river Pakistan says belongs to them. Pakistan says if they finish it, they will destroy it with 10 missiles. India is finishing it anyway. This is Ratle, an 850-megawatt hydroelectric project on the Chenab River in Kashmir, a dam that could power 4 million homes, or start a war between two nuclear-armed neighbors. This is the story of the most dangerous infrastructure project on Earth. Ratle's history is a study in how difficult it is to build anything in Kashmir. The first foundation stone was laid by Prime Minister Manmohan Singh in June 2013 under a build-operate-transfer contract with a private developer. Within a year, the project was suspended amid disputes between the contractor and the state government. By 2017, the original contract was terminated entirely. Prime Minister Modi laid a second foundation stone in February 2019, after the project was restructured as a joint venture between India's state-owned NHPC and the Jammu and Kashmir government. A third groundbreaking followed in April 2022, after Hyderabad-based contractor Mega Engineering and Infrastructures, MEIL, won the construction contract. Real progress finally came. Construction crews bored 2 diversion tunnels through the mountain's right bank, 488 meters and 560 meters long, each 11.4 meters in diameter. On January 27, 2024, engineers closed the tunnel gates and watched the entire Chenab River change course, flowing through solid rock instead of its natural bed for the first time in the project's history. The riverbed beneath the dam site was finally dry. Excavation down to bedrock could begin. It had taken over a decade just to reach this point. The dam itself is a roller-compacted concrete gravity structure, 133 meters high, 195 meters long. Unlike conventional concrete poured in sections, roller-compacted concrete is laid in continuous layers and compacted with heavy machinery, similar to building a road. It is faster and uses less water than traditional methods. Please take a moment to subscribe and like the video. It really helps the channel. A critical advantage when every truckload of cement and steel has to be hauled up narrow mountain roads into one of the most remote districts in Jammu and Kashmir. Roads frequently closed by landslides and snow. Electricity generation happens almost 400 meters from the dam itself, inside an underground powerhouse measuring 168 meters long and 49 meters high, carved directly into solid rock. Water drops through 4 steel-lined pressure shafts to reach 4 Francis turbines rated at 205 megawatts each, plus a 30-megawatt auxiliary unit, 850 megawatts combined, enough to generate over 3,100 million units of electricity annually for the Jammu and Kashmir grid. The project currently employs 1,434 workers, 960 from Kishtwar district itself, 220 from neighboring Doda, and the rest specialized labor brought in from elsewhere. For a remote Himalayan district where most families depend on agriculture and seasonal labor, Ratle represents the first year-round industrial employer the region has ever had. But in September 2025, the project hit a different kind of crisis. MEIL retrenched 200 workers after labor authorities approved the move, citing a surplus of unskilled staff. Local political leaders accused the company of favoring outsiders. Protests followed. On December 4th, the company's senior HR official was physically attacked near the construction site, allegedly told he would be killed if he continued working. By January 2026, MEIL was formally warning the district administration that continued political interference could force the company to abandon the project entirely, risking penalties tied to bank guarantees and years of invested machinery and capital. The dam built to survive a war was for several weeks fighting to survive its own construction site. Every engineering choice at Ratle was constrained by a document signed in 1960, decades before any of this concrete was poured. The Indus Waters Treaty divided 6 rivers between India and Pakistan. Pakistan received the western rivers, the Indus, Jhelum, and Chenab, carrying roughly 80% of the entire system's water. India received the eastern rivers. The treaty allowed one exception. India could build hydroelectric dams on Pakistan's rivers, strictly run-of-the-river. generating power without significantly storing or controlling the water's downstream flow. This is why Ratle's reservoir holds barely 78 million cubic meters at full level, tiny for a dam of this height. Every dimension was engineered specifically to satisfy treaty limits that Pakistan still argues India has exceeded. Pakistan has formally objected to 5 separate elements of Ratle's design since 2013. Spillway gate depth, sediment outlet sizing, freeboard, and reservoir capacity calculations. The dispute split into 2 competing legal tracks: a World Bank-appointed neutral expert process that India supports, and a separate court of arbitration that India considers illegitimately constituted and refuses to recognize. In June 2025, India formally asked the neutral expert to pause proceedings entirely following the treaty's suspension, a request Pakistan opposes. 2 parallel courts, 2 governments who no longer agree on which one has authority. On April 22, 2025, gunmen killed 26 tourists in Pahalgam, Kashmir. India blamed Pakistan-backed militants. The next day, India announced it was suspending the Indus Waters Treaty entirely. The first time in 65 years either country had walked away from the agreement that survived 3 wars and a secessionist insurgency. Weeks later, India closed the gates on a separate dam, Baglihar, briefly halting Chenab flow downstream and conducting reservoir flushing without the advance warning the treaty used to require. Photographs of an exposed Chenab riverbed circulated widely, including images Pakistani military analysts quickly flagged as exposing a strategic vulnerability along the river crossing. Pakistan called any interruption of the river an act of war. The suspension eliminated India's obligation to share flood warnings and dam release data with Pakistan entirely. By mid-2026, Pakistan's defense minister was telling local media the country would go to war over water. Definitely. Field Marshal Munir's missile threat came amid an even more extraordinary set of remarks in Tampa, including a warning that Pakistan, facing an existential threat from India, would take half the world down with a nuclear response. Whether the dam threat reflects genuine military planning or political signaling to a domestic and diaspora audience remains unclear. What is certain is that language around Indian dam projects on Pakistan's rivers has escalated to a level unseen in the treaty's entire 65-year history. Construction at Ratle continued throughout. Ratle now targets November 2028 for completion, 3 years behind its original 2026 date, slowed by 12 years of legal disputes, contract terminations, and most recently, a labor crisis that nearly drove its own contractor off the site. When finished, it will be an extraordinary piece of engineering, a 133-meter wall of compacted concrete, kilometers of tunnels through solid Himalayan rock, an underground powerhouse generating electricity for an entire region, all built to the exact specifications of a 65-year-old water-sharing treaty. A treaty that, as of today, no longer technically exists. The dam was engineered for compliance. It now exists in the middle of a conflict that compliance was supposed to prevent.